Howdy folks, welcome to Phil Billy Outdoors and DIY. I'm Phil, and today we're fixing to do a little DIY project here. Hopefully I don't sound too crappy on the video. Still got a cold, so there is that. But today, like I said, we're going to do a little DIY project. I've got most of the stuff laid out here that we're going to be using. Give me just a sec and I'll point you down here at the desk and you'll see what we're doing. Alright, so today, as you can see, we've got some leather here, and we're going to be replacing this, what I'm assuming is nylon hand strap for this dude. You can see, if anybody doesn't know, this is a Mossberg Shockwave, and that strap goes here on the pump. So when you put your hand here, you've got that strap that you push forward on, keeps the gun from jumping back so far, and it keeps your hand from slipping up in front of the muzzle. So, you know, it's okay, but of course, you know, this nylon strap, the corners where they've got this burnt so it doesn't fray, you know, the corner's a little sharp, and I suppose it looks alright, but I think we can make one a little bit better. So, what I've got, like I said, I've got this roll of leather here. I honestly couldn't tell you what weight it is, but it's, hopefully you can see that, it's fairly thick stuff. So, I'll be using that. And then this will be what you see on the outside. And I've also got one of these packs here, and all this leather came from Hobby Lobby, so you know, it's all stuff that if you have one of those nearby, you can go get this stuff and do stuff like this too. So, but like I said, we've got a pack of this. It's just 3 pounds of just random leather pieces, but that will go on the inside. That way you're not touching just the rawhide part of this leather, and it'll make it look a little nicer. Of course, contact cement to stick the two pieces together. You'll need a screwdriver to take the original strap off of the gun, hole punch to make the holes for the screws, and possibly for the stitching, to do the stitching. And then for the stitching, if you decide to do it that way, you need some thread and needles, which I've got over here in my box. Of course, somebody would text me. Anyway, so there's some other things you'll need, but I think that's good enough to get us started for now. So give me just a second. I'll get this out of the road and get set up here. Alright, so one thing I didn't mention, but isn't really necessary, is one of these cutting mats. Like I said, it's not necessary, but these things are nice, especially if you're cutting somewhere, you know, like on a tabletop or something that you don't exactly want to destroy. So, but anyway, yeah, so we've got our strap here. This is our original strap. I just cut off a piece of this leather just so it's easier to work with. I made sure it was plenty long enough. So what you want to do, just kind of get a fairly rough measurement of the original strap, and this looks like it's just shy of 9 inches. So as long as we hit 9 inches or so, we should be okay. So then, now, whenever you measure and go to mark your leather, depending on what you're doing with it, you know, you can use a pen or a pencil to mark it, especially if you want to measure and mark on the backside. If it's something where the backside isn't going to be seen, that's perfectly fine. But also, you can take, if I can get, there we go, what they call an awl, like a scratch awl. Just this little pointy piece of metal here, and you can mark the leather with this That way you don't have like any ink or anything on your leather. So, you know, if you have to mark on the front side, or like I said, the back side, if it's going to be seen, you can use one of these and it'll leave, you know, like a scratch, it'll leave a line, but then once you cut on it, you're not left with any ink or anything. So, just a helpful tip. Now, what I'm going to do first off here, I'm going to get that out of the way. Oh, and I'll be using one of these things to cut the leather. It's just got this round blade and it just rolls right along. Makes it really nice. But anyway, what you want to do is get a straight edge. I've just got this straight piece of what I call fake wood. It's just like a board off of an old dresser or something, just that pressed board or whatever. If I can get situated here, because this piece is actually kind of long. Flip it around this way. All I'm going to do is just put my straight edge on here. And hopefully this works out. I'm going to mark my piece of leather. Now, hopefully you can see that there's a line all the way across there. And now I'm just going to cut along that line all the way across, and that'll give me a nice straight edge to measure from. That way, you know, I don't wind up with an oblong piece, because that wouldn't be good. Alright, there we go. So now we've got a nice straight edge that we can take our measurement from. So now we're just going to measure 9 inches. You want to make sure you hold your leather down as flat as possible. We'll just make a mark at 9 inches. Now, what I'm going to do, just like I did on the end here, I'm going to lay my straight edge down long ways, make a mark, cut that just to make sure I've got a straight edge here also. So I'll do that off camera and then I'll be right back with you. Alright, so got these pieces cut out. So now we're ready for our glue. Since I have the can, it didn't come with any kind of a brush or anything. So this, I've got to stir, and you know, I need something to stir it with, and apply it. It's just contact cement, so if you get one of the small bottles, they usually come with their own brush. You don't have to worry about it. So I'm going to get this stirred up here. Alright, got it stirred up, and I'm just using an old screwdriver for this. So now what you do is just take some of the contact cement and just spread it all over your piece. Until everything that you want stuck to something else is covered. You need to do that to both pieces. Basically with this stuff, you stick glue to glue. So you can see what I'm doing here. Like I said, you do this to both pieces, and then you let this stuff completely dry, and then when it's completely dry on both pieces, then you stick it together. So I'm going to do that, and after I get this applied, I've got to wait like 15 or 20 minutes for this stuff to dry. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll come back to you when this stuff's ready to stick together. Alright, so no big surprise to me. I got excited when it came time to stick these two together. I forgot to turn the camera on. But anyway, you can see here, we got these pieces stuck together. With the contact cement, you know, whenever you stick the things together, it's always a good idea to take either, you know, a hammer or just something semi-heavy and flat and just kind of either tap on this or push and kind of squeeze, just whatever, just make sure all that glue gets stuck together in there. That'll give you a real good bond. Now, let me see, here we go. You know, you can see here, there's a little bit of overlap. That's not too big of a deal because I'm going to sand this. I'll probably take it out and use my belt sander in the garage. But, you know, you could just as easily, if you plan ahead, you could just as easily make this extra wide or extra long, both, whatever. And then after you glue them, cut them both together. That way everything's even. You know, you could hand sand, do whatever you want. Whatever you've got, just go ahead and use it and do what you can. Alright, I am back. I've got this sanded, and it is also a different day. So, since I sanded the edges, I don't know if you'll be able to see, but here on the edges, you've got kind of this little feathery, rounded over part, but that's not a big deal, at least for me, because I am going to get in my toolbox here and find this. This is called an edge beveler, and what you do with it, you just take it, put it on the corner of your piece of leather, and just as the name implies, you bevel your edge. You get these little strips of leather, and you get a nice beveled edge on your leather. You don't have to have one of these. You can use a utility knife, a X-Acto knife, just a really sharp pocket knife or something, and just kind of carefully go along and do that. But unless you're really good at that sort of thing, this just makes things a lot easier, and it makes your edge look a lot better. So I'm going to finish that and show you the next step. So the next step, after getting our edges beveled, hopefully you can see that there. I did front and back. Now we're going to burnish the edges. So all we do, this is what they call a burnishing tool. It's just a piece of wood with some grooves cut in it and then tapered end. You know, you can use this for getting into inside corners and things. And then you just kind of match these little grooves up with the thickness of leather you're using. And all we do just put a little water on the edge of your leather. You just use this, put your leather in one of those grooves, and just rub it back and forth like that. And then, I don't know if you can see it. See this little bit of a darker spot there. I don't know if you can tell. I think you can see it a little bit there. But basically the edge just gets kind of smooth and shiny. And it just makes your edge look better. Well, this burnishing tool didn't work as well this time as it did the last time I used it. But you can see, hopefully, it's a little better than it was. So, in the this leather that I backed it with here didn't seem to want to burnish at all. So, I don't know. I may have to figure something else out for that. But now, I believe. I don't think I'm going to sew this. It's not necessary because the whole thing is glued and the glue should be plenty strong. I don't have any leather stamps or anything, so maybe one of these days I will get a set of stamps. And how the original has, you can see how the original says Mossberg down the middle. If I get any stamps one of these days, I might do the same thing here, but Mossberg down the middle, and then do some kind of an outline and, you know, sew around the outline just to kind of make it stand out a little bit. But I guess now our next step is putting holes in this so we can put it back on the forearm. Alright, I've got 3 out of the 4 holes punched here, and you can see I'm ready to punch the last one. So what you want to do when you're punching leather, especially leather that's thick like this, get your mark as close to the center in the punch piece as you can. And I always just grab it with 2 hands. You heard it click like that, and then just take it, just kind of wiggle it around a little bit. Oop, not quite through that back piece yet. So squeeze, just kind of, like I said, just wiggle it back and forth, and that'll help cut through the very back. There we go. You can see now it's all the way through. Alright, well, it's done. Mostly. You can see it's open. We're unloaded, so yeah, there it is. Now, I will tell you, this is considerably more of a pain in the butt than this to take on and off. Just because the leather is so much stiffer, you know, it's kind of hard to get it shoved to the side to get these screws in and everything. But it still wasn't bad. Yeah. So, it's not the prettiest thing ever. It's not perfect. I haven't put any kind of a finish on this yet. You know, usually you oil leather, you know, put some kind of a protectant on it, which I haven't done yet. And when you do that, usually it'll darken it up. But there it is. I mean, it's like I said, I think it's a lot better. So I may, like I said, later on if I get some stamps, I may put Mossberg on this. I may do something else. I may just redo another one in the future when I've got a little bit better tools. The leather tools that I was using today, I just got in a cheap kit from eBay. Well, a lot of them. The leather punch, the little cutter that I was using, that stuff I bought separate, but you know, as far as the awl and the edge beveler, this thing, I just lost the name of it. Burnishing tool. There it is. This thing, all that came in a cheap kit that I got from Amazon. Anyway, guys, feel free to give me a thumbs up. There it is. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Whatever you want to do, leave a comment. Subscribe. I will leave it at that, I think. And thanks for watching, guys.